going? Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I am your host, Alex Whiteley, and the Biscuiteer joining us today. We're slowly climatising him to our way of things, and that's Max Brown. How's it going, Max?
Hello, Alex. Very well, thank you. Yeah, how's things with you?
Good. You kind of scared me to death earlier. We bumped into each other in Bellevue. You were on your bike. I'd just taken Timmy to school, and you were on your bike, and we stopped and had a chat. And I was like, is Max okay? I was thinking to him, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be rude, but I was like, is Max okay? He's looking rather yellow. Is he a bit jaundiced? Explain, Max. What is going on with that? What is that?
So I've got into taking turmeric as a drink in a big way instead of coffee. Coffee wasn't serving me any good whatsoever, so I started doing a bit of researching. Turmeric gives you energy, pokes you up. So I got into that. And then researching a little bit more, I found out it's really good for skincare. So last night, a bit of a random thing, I had a bath with turmeric in the bath. It was really good, I'll be honest.
It's great, but you have to wear like an Etch-a-Sketch around your neck or something to be like, I'm okay, I'm fine, absolutely fine.
I like that idea.
Joining us today are the creators of a book that I think is genius. I love this book so much. Okay, I've got to explain. It's going to sound kind of rude, but it's not meant in that way. When we get authors or people that have created things on the show, you got to read the book. You got to know what you're talking about. And sometimes it can feel like homework. Okay, that's no disrespect to the people that make things, but it's like I've got to do this for the show. I have to say, I started reading this book, and I immediately got filled with joy. I mean, this book is the most... I had so much fun with it. I'm probably blown it out of proportion, but not to me, not at the moment. With everything that's going on, I feel like... We'll get into it. But I'd like to introduce Isobel, Anthony Titley, and Potato, he's written his name down as. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, guys.
Hi.
Hey, nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Michael, by the way, not Potato.
Yeah, I'll adjust that. It's down as Potato. So we got Michael. Guys, how have you been?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah?
It's been all right, busy.
I imagine. And what is it like working on how long has this book been out, Anthony?
Oh, God, that's a very good question. I should know by now. We released this one on May 15th, so coming up on 2 months now.
Coming up on a month. 1 month.
Oh my God, I've completely lost track of time.
That's understandable. Everybody's been kind of trapped in their own little personal prisons or abodes, whatever you want to call it. I've been working throughout the whole thing. But I've found myself 2 weeks off work, which is amazing. But I don't want to be trapped in a house like everybody else has been in the whole planet. So I'm going to be in the studio making things. What was it like working so hard on this? What I imagine it's written with a lot of passion and a lot of love. This book, and then releasing it at a time that like the lockdown is so unique and it's so different. What was it like for you guys? Was it panic? Was it?
I led most of it when it came to writing, and it wasn't difficult at all, really. It kind of felt like I had a holiday, and I was just spending my time doing something I wanted to do. And we actually got it finished really quickly. We started writing actually before lockdown because I took a holiday. I took a week off because I'm going to do this. We're going to work on this, and we're going to do something. And then about a week after my holiday ended, I was on furlough from my job. So I was like, well, now's the perfect time to just keep working on this. And I think it probably took us about maybe 6 full weeks of writing before we were happy with the first draft.
Wow. That's mightily impressive.
Yeah, I think so.
Me, and he had to completely rewrite it. So,
really? Oh my God! First of all,
the whole thing, just sections.
we need to get the name of the book out there.
Sections.
The name of the book is Game of Gnomes. I always get it wrong. Gnome Chromancer. No.
The Necronomicon.
No, Gnome Chromonicon.
The Necronomicon.
Oh, got it
It is a bit of a tongue twister.
It is
I'm trying to write this down.
And it's a story about three gnomes that go on an adventure, prolific thieves. They want to go to, which, by the way, I've written down everything that made me laugh. I'm not going to spoil the book because that wouldn't be very kind of me, but I've written down everything that made me laugh. Every moment that made me like proper out loud chuckle, and I've written it down here. That's how good this book is. There's a whole page there full of things.
I was going to say it'd be really awkward if there was nothing on that list.
Yeah, this is what you did to me.
That's all it is.
In the current climate right now, whether it's to do with coronavirus, the racial tension, politics, whatever's going on, mental health, even, the world seems to be, especially on social media, seems to be a very negative place, whether you're one side of the fence or the other. And I picked up this book right when I'd had a really tough weekend. I don't want to go into it, but Max will know. Had a really tough weekend, picked up this book, and it just everything was gone. For that I read the whole thing in a night. Okay, the whole thing in a night, and everything was gone for a few hours. So I want to say thank you, for giving me that.
Very welcome.
Such a beautiful thing.
It is really nice. So, what are your guys' roles then? There's three of you here. If we go around the room, starting with Isobel, talk about what you do and what you contribute to the book.
So I am sort of lead on operations. So my job was to find our very talented illustrator to do our front cover, sort of look up all the various systems and stores we could put the book on when it was ready, so we could sort of get it to everybody who wanted it, no matter whether they preferred Kindle or they prefer Kobo. Just have those options available, so this book could get into as many hands as possible.
Fantastic.
And Izzy's also very much in charge of the next stage for the book as well.
Yes.
Which would be we're hoping to get it into a physical copy within the year at least, and she's making that happen, which is great.
Wow,
fantastic.
What a journey.
Anthony?
That's a very good question. I struggle to define it sometimes. No, I basically look after making sure that, we get onto things like this so that we can talk about the book, because obviously everyone thinks their creation is great, but I think we've made something at the right time. As you were saying earlier, I think it's a good, not necessarily escape, but it's a good little distraction. It's something fun, something enjoyable, kind of lifts you up a little bit, especially with everything going on at the moment.
Yeah. Perfect. Michael, and you say you are the writing talent, right? Most of the writing talent.
Yeah. I wrote it, and the others gave a lot of feedback on it as well.
Yeah.
We put it in quite a few people's hands actually to try and get as much feedback as we could. And that's essentially it.
And it's 170 pages long, the book. And how long did you say it took to write? It took you to write it?
About 6 weeks.
What? That's unbelievable. And the reason I say it's unbelievable is because, to explain this book, it's as if Shrek had a baby with Rick and Morty. It's like...
That's exactly how you described it to me.
What a compliment.
You said you weren't going to have any spoilers.
No, but this is the premise, right? There are so many intricate, beautiful little details, and to say you wrote this book in 6 weeks just blows my mind. Was this already a preconceived idea that you had in your head, and you were just like, okay, well, the breadcrumb's already there, let's just write it out?
Not quite. So it was actually kind of based on... Anthony and Izzy and I and a few other people do a games night every week, or more or less.
Nice.
And we've probably done that for maybe more than 4 years now, actually. And it was based on a little game that we played together, that we made together, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now as well.
You guys as a team who used to play the game together then decided to write this book together?
Well, it was myself and Anthony and then 2 other friends.
Uh-huh.
And we thought, probably I think about a year ago, we thought, we've got recordings of it and we can turn it into a book. And then in the end, ended up nothing like what the game actually was. But it was inspired by that silly element that we played together, and we just wanted to capture that fun, light-hearted, adult humor that friends have on a Friday night kind of thing.
The reason I love this story is because, there are many stories where Mama's always gone, you're never going to get anything from playing games, all those silly games. Well, look what's happened. You've created this amazing thing. And you wrote it in 6 weeks. I can't believe it. I'm awestruck because it's fantastic. Wow. I mean, the reason why I'm awestruck about it is I have a book in my head. I believe I think every person who's got some sort of story in their head believes they've got £1 million idea, right? I can write. I'm good at writing. But I don't have the energy to sit and write this story. I got through a chapter and I was like, this is hard work. That was years ago, and this story's there's a synopsis rolled up in storage actually at the moment, but it usually goes in my underwear drawer. So as three working together on this one project, you guys have got your roles. How well did you work together from the beginning? Did you gel well? I guess you've been playing games for a while. You know each other's strengths. Did it work well from the beginning?
I think so. Yeah. Obviously, there were sort of disagreements about certain areas. We should go this way, we should do this. But overall, I think we've been on the same page for most of the time, which has been a good something good to have. Especially as we outlined in the beginning. If we have disagreements, this is how we're going to solve them. So we haven't kind of rushed into a big argument. We've kind of known what the process, for lack of a better word, is. So yeah, we've kind of just taken what we were enjoying anyway and just made it into something that other people can enjoy.
Yeah, and if one of you was, I guess Michael would probably be the best idea. If you could, kind of summarize your book in a few sort of paragraphs, what would you say? How would you sell your book to people? What is it?
We're trying to make fantasy take itself less seriously. That's what I would say.
Cool angle.
We wanted to make something, like you said, that can help people not quite escape, but just make people laugh, make people have fun, like a fairy tale for adults, I suppose.
Yes, perfect. The way I've been describing this, because we're gonna do a show review on USUC as well, the other show that I do, and a lot of my American listeners and the people that are joining with us, I'm sending them like pictures of this book. I'm like, buy this book, read it, because we're going to get these on. We'll do questions. But the way I described it is a story for children, but for adults. A children's story for adults. That's the way I put it. Yeah. Because there's a lot of language. There's quite a bit of gore as well. But it's written in a fairy tale kind of children's style, and I love that. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we've had to be quite careful because when you say it's a fantasy book with adult themes, people, when you hear the word adult, people jump to a particular thing straight away.
Yeah.
I want to spoil a bit at the beginning. That the first thing that made me howl. Okay, so I'm going to give the names away of the. Can I give the names away of the gnomes?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, sure.
So you've got Gassy, Borty, and Turdlet. Okay, gnomes are named after their rear ends because that's the first thing that pops out the ground. I think that's fantastic. I think it's brilliant. But Gassy's been cooped up in his escape, his house up on the hills, away from everybody else, and it's Borty turns up at his door, and because Gassy's been alone with nothing but old erotic novels, and nobody else around him, he thinks he sees a glamorous woman with hair waving over her face with a great rear end, and he's like, wow, it's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, and then Borty's like, it's a donkey. Amazing. I was just like, oh my god. And it even explains that he's detached himself away from the female attractive females just being human. It's just, if it's attractive, right? I thought that was so clever. So well done.
Yeah, we actually put that excerpt on Reddit for a little sub called Men Writing Women. got a very good response, because most of the time on there, it's you'd hear something like that and it would be, oh, that's so cringy. You know, how could somebody write like that? And I think a lot of them weren't expecting that turn at the end. So
yeah,
I think
a lot of the comments we got were that wasn't going where I thought it was going to.
Yeah, I'm sorry to give that away, but I mean, it just explains kind of where it goes, because these gnomes are confused little guys, right? I mean, they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and their weaknesses are very much their weaknesses, right? I mean, what was it like taking original concepts or mythical ideas and ideologies and things, and then turning them into something original? Was that dangerous for you guys? Did it feel like, oh, I'm stepping on people's toes, or were you like, just run with it?
I'll answer that. Yes, it was. There was multiple times where we were like, "Are we allowed to do this? Is this? We could get in trouble."
I think that means you're onto something, though, when you think like that.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But there's quite a few references as well in there to pop culture, if you've noticed any of them.
Well, they go to Crimicon, which is Comic-Con for criminals.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. There's the Rolling Gnome magazine. I thought that was great. I'm not going to read them all out because it's not fair. But what I loved about the story was the banter between the three of them. Constant just bickering, but in that kind of, that brotherhood kind of way. You know, I love that so much.
And I think
that was
I think
Sorry.
we were pretty ideal for that.
Yeah. That's what we have as our friendship group. Really, just as a pretty British standard is to bicker between each other.
Yeah.
But that was something that was actually really important to me, was getting the characters to have some conflict within the group, but still get on with each other to some degree. Yeah.
If someone was to walk to you up on the street now, and they would say under or as without an what would you do?
Well, we would have to beat them. I think that's the only sensible thing we can do,
It's
really.
only a logical response, really.
We would ask them to stay 2 meters away.
And hit them with a long stick.
A barge pole.
If you want to know what I'm on about, you have to read the book, because I am not spoiling that one. That's one of the most glorious parts of the book. Max, have you got any questions you want to add about the book?
I feel like it's important for me to ask, what advice have you got for anyone who wants to write books or get into that world?
Yes, please. I need the advice. I've got a book in here. I need to get it out.
Absolutely.
I think the advice from myself would be, have 2 friends that pressure you into doing it within 6 weeks.
I love that. Okay.
And also offer to edit for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the most fundamental 2 bits of advice.
Yeah, to be fair, that's pretty much, it's not the best advice in the world, but it's the truest advice, which is just find the right motivation. Even if it is pressure from 2 people.
That's a good thing, though, to have that kind of friendship.
Yeah, because all you need is the motivation to write, and then you'll just write. And that's if it's there, it's there. And if it's not, then just research some stuff, look up some theories.
Sure.
I actually spent, as I was writing this alongside, I was watching a lot of videos and reading a lot about a lot of different kind of writing theories and things like that. And I've actually got a bit of a background in film and things like that. I would say I probably consume more TV and film than I would books. Yeah. And it's I took a lot of film theory and things when I was writing as well. And that all just sews into the book.
And I guess that really helps with writer's block. You can just come back to kind of a score in your mind and just play it through.
Yeah.
The
way we wrote this book, we just wrote 3 scenes. You just started off with 3 scenes,
right? And
then we stitched it together from there.
Okay, I've got to be honest, I haven't actually read the book, but now after speaking to you guys and hearing all these wonderful things, I can't not. It's going to be on my to-do list for sure.
The problem we had is Max has only been part of the team literally a week. And I messaged the team, has anybody read the book yet? And everybody's been super busy, like it's crazy. Like, so Dee Dee's working extra hard, Julie's fixing up a house, Shane's working as well from home and he's got a baby. Max has just joined the team, so I was like, we got these guys coming on tomorrow. Is there any chance you can like quickly read the book? And he's like, no, probably not.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I didn't give you enough time, so that's where that's come from. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Were you guys worried that George R. R. Martin might come after you?
I think we'd honestly be pleased just to be on his radar more than anything else.
Yeah,
I think when a lot of people heard the title for the first time, they assumed it was going to be just like a direct parody.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Yeah, which can be good, but most of the time it can feel a bit forced when you're doing a parody like that. So I think we just kind of wanted to get across the world it was in and then tell our own story.
Yeah. Well, it's not a hard parody. It has parody elements, but it's definitely not, a one-to-one parody that you can often see.
Yeah. I think parody elements to any comical story is always a good thing. Always, in my opinion.
Talk us through, Michael. Talk us through the rewrites. What happened there?
They were mainly big chunks that I just wasn't happy with, or maybe the others weren't happy with. I think the end was the biggest rewrite. The last chapter and a half and the epilogue, I completely rewrote. It was a completely different scene. The last scene. I still think I probably would rewrite it if I had the opportunity to do it again. Just because that's how I always am. I always want to make it better. But before the last scene wasn't. Oh, I won't spoil it. But yeah, we rewrote that.
I've got to say that it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I thought it was going to completely.
Mine says I'm reading it.
there was a part to it towards the end. I'm not going to spoil it, I promise you. But there was a point towards the end where I thought, oh, it's going to go in that direction, and then it completely threw me off, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool though. I appreciate that. That's fine. The references. How do you come up with so many like pop culture, historical, mythical references and make them hilarious? How do you come up with this? Do you workshop these ideas?
I think it's just the nature of, as Michael said, the amount of film and TV he consumes, but also the amount that me and Izzy consume as well.
Yeah.
There's just so many references off the top of our head. And when we do play these games nights, we often include those references in.
Yeah. It's probably just experience mainly, because I'll write a lot of the little games that we've played, and a lot of that comes from improvising, and over years of experience you just sort of develop that connection with pop culture and stuff like that, and you can sew it into the tiniest little things for a quick laugh.
Yeah, I like it, but I mean, I can't. I'm just, you guys are so casual about this, but I can't express enough. There is something called a plant egg in it, and it's not an eggplant; it's a plant egg. It's a long egg, and I was just like, that's genius! Like that's why has nobody done that before? And like. If this kind of creative juice comes out of you just so naturally and so casually, I'm sure you've got lots of work to do with making sequels and things, right?
Yeah. Actually, I actually started working on a sequel this week. We've started on the planning phase for it, so we'll see. Maybe a few weeks
in 5 to 6 weeks' time.
Yes.
Look out for it, I guess.
So you released.
It's so inspiring. You guys have done this with literally 3 of you, 6 weeks of time, and you've got a book. Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think what probably took the longest was actually getting the full kind of company side of things set up as well.
Yeah.
So that's included in the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
What was the process of that?
Oh, very long. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of you'll like it. Yeah. It'll seem very simple. It'll be like, put this thing or do this paperwork with this phrasing, and then you read the phrasing, you're like, I don't understand none of these words.
It's a lot of legal jargon.
Yeah, I spent 5 weeks Googling.
See, the trick with that is the trick with that is just get 2 other people to do it for you.
Okay, always.
So you can do the fun stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a few times I did feel quite sorry for Anthony, because I would have spent the day sort of like contacting like artists and looking at their work and generally having a lovely time looking at beautiful images and drinking tea. And then I'd sort of look over at the other computer and Anthony would be there, like hair everywhere and just like so many tabs open.
So you've
especially hair at the moment. I haven't had a haircut for like 6 weeks.
Well, I don't need to. I don't need to bother. I've got no hair. But I could. So you guys. Okay, I've worked this out now. You guys are just cool. You're just cool as hell because I'm like, okay, this book's a genius. Okay, and you're like, yeah, we bashed it out in 6 weeks. It's fine. But behind the scenes, you've got Anthony typing away on his laptop. I can't find the answers. Google. You got Isobel lying on the sofa looking at pretty little pictures, and then you've got Michael rewriting the end over and over and over again, going insane. So like, you guys are just really.
Great way of putting it.
You guys are just really good at playing it off as cool. I like that though. It's good. Am I correct?
Thank you very much. But yeah, I think we're all pretty creative anyway. So I've always sort of been into music. Izzy's done a lot of drawing, and that's why we kind of got her to find the illustrator as well. And then Michael obviously is a fantastic writer.
He is. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we all had the same vision as well. To be honest, like the cover is a good example. Is that we all. Well, actually, Anthony had a bit of a different idea, but myself and Izzy had about the same idea of what we wanted for the cover, and she got a bit annoyed with me turning down artists, saying, "No, that's not right." But I think we found the perfect one, and I think our cover's a really good example of how we just all pull together and end up with the same result.
Would you like to give the artist a shout out?
Yeah, I'd love to. Her name is Carrie Coper. She is on Behance, Instagram, and Facebook. She is an amazing professional. Her artwork is fantastic. She was really clear the entire time. More than happy to accommodate our sort of weirder ideas for the cover and suggest plenty of her own.
I think you.
So it's important.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you all agree with something, it is important because you don't want someone to be like, "Oh, it's always going to niggle you when you see it," and when you do get the physical copies out when you see it. But yeah, the picture encapsulates the fairy tale story in a great way. Because it's got the round nose. It looks like a fairy tale story, but then. That they're robbing things, so it looks like that's what. Yeah, I love it. When I find something that I really enjoy, I find it hard to put into words how much I like it, if that makes sense. Because I get overwhelmed with it. So you released it. It's been out over about a month now. What's the feedback been like? Has it been like flying off the shelves? Have you had like lots of comments written about it?
It's been great. We've had a couple of reviews come through Amazon and sort of Goodreads and things like that, and anyone we've spoken to has been very positive about it in the same way you have. Like, honestly, wasn't expecting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for us, honestly, the biggest problem is we want to hear from the people we don't know, because we hear from our friends and family and say, "Oh yeah, I like it. It's really fun," but we want to hear from the people across the pond, or just any old random person. And I think we got our first official non-friend review only like a week ago or something, and it was a 5-star, and we were like, "Oh, that's very satisfying."
Yes.
Or like yourself, like somebody we hadn't really met before, read the book and absolutely loved it. Like that honestly makes us so happy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we wanted the book to do. So thank you.
I can't explain enough. Like, I mean, I've got a guest coming on my other show on Saturday. She's an author, but she's also, say if the CW want to buy a character off Warner Brothers, okay, to put on a TV show, the person that facilitates that, the in between, the middle guy, that's who the guest is coming on my show. I've had to read her books, which are really informative. They really are. Like she's writing about how to cope with crisis because of the COVID-19 thing, and she blew my mind because she made me realize that the reason why everybody's so upset during the lockdown and why things are so weird is because everybody's grieving for the loss of the world. And I was just like, that makes so much sense. Like, we can't go out and do things normally, so people are treating it like, a death. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. But it was like, I had to do that. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it, but I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh and forget about all my problems. This book did, and that's the difference. Well,
that was a book about COVID by the sounds of it, so it's quite hard to forget about the problems.
But it was like she was coming from this is how you can cope with it. It was kind of like it wasn't like we're all gonna die. It was kind of it was like these are the steps to do it.
This is the solution.
This is the solution. Yeah, it's like a self-help book, I guess.
Well, my solution to COVID. Well, the trick is, your life has to just not change at all. Because before COVID, I pretty much did what I'm doing now anyway. So,
yeah. I used to be a bit of an introvert. I suffer a little bit from social anxiety. I say it on the show all the time, but it's because I'm transparent, right? And the biscuit kind of challenged me to go out a bit more, to push myself into those situations. And I felt myself like changing into this real social creature. I'd be like, oh, there's something going on in the quarry. Let's go and have a look, and let's go and stick a microphone in strangers' faces. Like, me and Max, we met up in the quarry at the weekend to the Black Lives Matter thing. And he was like, you got a microphone on you? I was like, yeah. And he's like, we should interview people. And I was like, no. That's how I am, right? So I find myself transformed into this new social being, and then all of a sudden, when I'm start building up my confidence, I'm told you can't do that anymore. And I was like, what? It was just a weird thing.
I think we're finding the same kind of thing with the book and the company as well, because we are seeing all these conventions and things we'd love to go to, but before I'd never really considered going to a convention. And now I really want to go out there and like shove the book in people's faces when we get it, physical copy, and just like, buy this, look at it, it's fun. But we can't really do that, which is quite upsetting.
Yeah, it is. It is a shame. There's lots of virtual like cons being put together and stuff, but it's not the same. You can't walk around, look at the stalls, meet new people, get the pictures of the celebrities, smell the BO. You can't do that when you're on. I'm joking.
All the good things.
All the good things that come from.
I think all three of us tick at least one of those boxes.
Have you had any negative feedback that you relished, that you enjoyed? Is there anything that somebody said to you, like, and it's made you think, actually, that's not a bad idea?
Sorry, do you mean suggestions or like
like
general...
suggestions? Why didn't you do it like this, or why can't you take, is there anything that somebody said, or even what that you thought yourself that you could probably do better next time? I don't think you could. I think it was perfect, but
I mean, I could pick a million different things in the book where I'm like, oh, I could have done this better.
Michael is his own harshest critic, though.
Yeah, I'm so cruel to myself. But when we did the little test reading and handed it out to our friends, they gave some really great feedback, which mostly ended up in the book. A shout out to Jamie for Jamie Rushworth.
Oh yeah, he provided most of the, I guess you could call it negative but constructive feedback.
Yeah, he'd kind of be like, it's great, but here's the thing, and then like list off a bunch of things that aren't really working. Which is always really helpful.
I think something that comes across, I don't think this is too spoilery, is Turdlet sometimes feels like he's really bullying Gassy, and there's no love there at all.
Yeah.
And the original version, that's like it just seems like he hates him and he doesn't want him there. And so it was a lot of work trying to add in a little bit of subtext and a little bit of turnarounds showing that he does in fact care to some degree about Gassy.
Yeah, I love the dynamic between them. All of them, because the story usually starts off with the hero, doesn't it? Where the leader of the team, but in fact you get introduced as the leader gets introduced as like a secondary character, if you like. He's the one knocking on the door, like, yo, we're going to do this thing. But I love the dynamic between them, because even Borty questions himself from time to time, and I love that. And as a leader, as someone that's not as arrogant as to go head on to do things, if you can question your actions and be like, actually, what did I do there? That's kind of cool. It's natural.
I think another thing from the first versions of the books that we had to address was that, like you said, Borty kind of is the leader, but he wasn't supposed to be the main character for this book. So it was hard to find that balance of him kind of leading them through without encompassing the entire sort of story.
Yeah, I mean, they are sort of an ensemble cast, but this book isn't Borty's story, not so much. And that was definitely something we struggled with as well. But I've always really liked stories that focus on the person in the background. You know, like Star Wars is told from the point of view from C-3PO and R2-D2, and it follows them across all the movies. And I thought that's a really fun idea. They're not the heroes of the story; they're just the comedic relief. They're the mess. They make a lot of mistakes, and I always liked the idea of telling the story from their point of view, from the people that aren't making all the, they might make more of a mess than they're doing, than they're helping.
Like observing the hero's journey, commenting and narrating as the hero goes through.
But I've always liked from the villain's point of view as well. And these boys aren't quite villains, but they're not quite heroes. They're just people going about their day, doing what they can.
Everybody, like, it's a quest, right? And like, to explain what's going on with this book, Crimicon comes up with a Crima competition, and everybody that's in the room gets given the same task, and it's the first one to complete the task wins, right? So essentially, everybody that is taking part in this is both a villain and a hero at the same time, because they've all got the same goal. So even the three gnomes in the story, they're doing despicable things at times, but so is everybody else around them, and that's what I love about it. It's chaos, but beautifully told. I love as well is is how you describe the environment around them. When they're rushing through the town to try and find the third gnome, and then the baby scene.
Oh, that is my favorite. That is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, one of the gnomes. I won't spoil it, but there is a very funny, very gruesome baby story. And from the time they get from A to B, so much happens to Gassy that I'm just like, how from like A to B for a town does so much chaos happen? But brilliantly told. What I was going to ask was, okay, it's probably super ambitious to say, but with things how they are right now and how the dynamics of things like Netflix work, say we've got a head in the clouds right now and Netflix are like, I love this idea, man. We need to make it. We're going to give you 6 shows. We're going to run this thing. Have you ever thought about who you would get to play each? Gassy, Borty, Turdlet, and Breezy. Have you ever thought about that?
Not fully, but off the top of my head, I know for a fact that I think it would be hilarious to get people like, Henry Cavill, big, serious actors who are really, actually physically big people, try and display people. And handsome people to ugly them up and display these little gnomes.
I just imagined Danny DeVito playing all 3 roles.
There's an actor that looks like a mini Ralph Garman. I don't know if you know who Ralph Garman is, but like he's a comedian. And I think he'd have made a great note. But I've written down what I would like to see, because you guys you just made the book. I don't care. This is my vision. Okay. I'm a big fan of the movie Superbad. I think Judd Apatow is great. They never made a sequel. And I thought I would write down my thoughts on how the dynamics would work. So you'd have, as Borty, I would definitely have Seth Rogen. I know, like, but I wouldn't have him as the typical kind of character. He would be the leader and he'd be like, dude, we need to go, man. He'd be that kind of character. Gassy would be Michael Cera, because he would be shy, timid. No, guys, we can't do that, Then you'd have Turdlet as Jonah Hill, because he swears a lot. That makes sense. And then Breezy would absolutely 100% be Christopher Mintz-Plasse. Glasses. I thought this needs to happen. But I mean, I know everybody's getting on, but if they could make the in-betweeners guys look like teenagers, I'm sure Hollywood could make these guys look like gnomes. That's what I would like to see. Netflix, if you're listening, get in touch with these guys down here.
So if Netflix does contact us after this, I'm sure we'll be in touch with you for more casting advice.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Who's going to play Josie? I'd always I'd always pictured it if that like it had ever happened as an animated show for some reason.
Yeah. I think voice
Doesn't mean we can't get them to play them anyway.
No, of course.
Oh, but then you could
Get everybody in modcap suits.
Yeah.
that would just like that opens up a whole new world, because like voice actors to me are on the same par. Like my Joker is Mark Hamill, like, you know, like, because I think voice acting is just I love it. So I think that opens up a whole new. Thanks for that, guys. You've just made a new conundrum. I'm going to be thinking about this for a couple of days now. But which voice actors?
Well, if you appreciate voice actors, we're currently we decided it'd be quite fun to make an audiobook of this. Yeah. We've had a lot of feedback. But because we're still sort of waiting to find a audiobook sort of narrator who fits us and things.
And a studio and all that.
Yeah, we came up with the idea to do a director's cut. Sorry to disappoint. I saw you pointing at yourself for a second.
Yeah.
Where we would read out the book. So that should be obviously that's not going to be quite the quality of Mark Hamill's Joker, but we're going to try our best.
Yeah, at the moment it's sort of Anthony sat in the wardrobe with a headset on.
I tell you
shutting the cats out.
If we can, when you come on, what's the difference for me and Tom? If we can reenact a couple of scenes from the book, that would make my day.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. I have been dabbling the last couple of years with a bit of voice acting, things like that. I haven't nothing of. I mean, a lot of podcasters were like, "Hey man, we need an English guy," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. This is the such and such podcast, and you're listening to blah 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 blah." And they're like, "Thanks, man." You know, things like that.
Yeah.
But I would love to play with this. But you guys are fantastic. I love what you do. You brought joy to a guy that was on his chin straps. Like my team will tell you. I had a really hard weekend where I had to just like distance myself away from everything, because the world just turned into a really nasty, horrible place for a short second there. So this book absolutely brought me out of that. So thank you. I really do mean it. You know.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's very kind.
I know
I was glad we could do that for you.
Oh, I know it's hard to take compliments. I'm the same. Genuinely, people be like, Max was next to me. He saw it like the other day. Some guy tapped me on the shoulder. Well, he didn't. He was like, "Oh, you didn't touch me," because I'd have been like, "Whoa."
But he was like, he touched you.
Yeah, he was like, "Yo, you're the biscuit guy," and I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I love what you do. You do a good job," and I was just like, "Thank you."
Yeah, you did well.
You know, what's next? So you're saying that you do have a sequel lined up, Michael. Do you have an actual timescale for this, or is it just like a mere like idea in your head right at the moment?
I've put a timescale in for myself, but that all really depends on all sorts of different things. So I won't say what that timescale is. I'm expecting it to take a little longer anyway, because I wanted to make it a little longer as far as the book goes. I think the book that we've just wrote now it's a good length. It's like the perfect length for the little story that it's telling, but the next story we're telling is a bit longer, so that's just how it's going to be. But then we've got a few other things on the way. I don't know if we want to talk about those maybe.
We'll be back when we have those. I think is probably the best way to go about that.
Yeah. We are looking into a physical copy of the book, and obviously doing that, the audiobook and the director's cut of the audiobook. So we've got a few bits to do with this yet.
I'll be buying that physical book. I love it. It's great.
As a company as well, we've got like all sorts of other things, not just Game of Gnomes. We've got all sorts of other projects we want to do. But it's just when those come out, we don't know. Yeah,
because you guys are local, aren't you? You're in Shropshire, right?
Yeah, we're all from Shrewsbury.
Yeah. That creativity, it runs through our veins. Well, I say our veins. I'm not a Salopian naturally, but you know, it's in the water. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's the nature of being here.
Absolutely. I wish you guys the absolute best. Max, before I start rounding things down, have you got anything to ask?
Yeah. I guess, like, where did you guys start with funding? Is it all self-funded? You, like, didn't have to apply for anything? It's literally
Unfortunately, yes, it is all self-funded. Luckily, it didn't cost too much overall, since we I think the biggest cost for us would have been the cover.
Okay.
Because we outsourced that. But the rest of it, we've kind of done ourselves. Even the logo for the company, we mostly designed. And then we worked with a
really
local
cool.
guy just to refine it, a guy called Matthew Mills.
Okay.
He does a lot of logo work in Shrewsbury. But yeah, for the most part, we've kind of done as much as we can ourselves.
That's amazing. Did you guys feel like you had to make any compromises, if any? Oh no.
Yeah, definitely. When you're coming up with something like this, there's always that that potential to run with your head in the clouds and be like, oh, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. And
that's how I spend most of my days.
Yeah. And it's like, what can we actually do right now and get this book out? So
cool.
I'm painfully uncompromising, so
yeah, we had to compromise with Michael's uncompromising.
No. And you say it took 6 weeks or 5 weeks even to write. But like, how many hours in the day were you guys spending focusing just on writing? Obviously, it was only yourself, Michael.
I was mostly doing the writing, and then we had a few read-throughs, and I sent over a few edits and for early feedback. Probably, I think every 4,000 or 5,000 words, I'd send over a version, and be like, "How's this now?"
And then we'd send it back, and you'd have to write another 6,000 words.
But it was good. It wasn't 10, 12 hours. It was only maybe 4 or 5 hours of actual writing a day.
Cool. So it didn't feel like work as such.
No, it sort of just fell out.
It fell out.
Wow.
That phrasing, Michael.
Great way of describing
Good
how
Lord.
it comes to life.
Advice for upcoming authors: just let it fall out.
Yeah, just
There we go.
open up your head and just let it fall on the keyboard.
Oh my god!
Excellent.
I had to restrain myself. Then it's the wrong kind of show. Listeners, right? Listen to me right now. Turn that volume up. Okay. What you need to do is go onto Amazon right now or Kindle, whatever you want to do, and type in Game of Gnomes, the Necronomicon. Okay. And download this book. It's $2.99. It will make you laugh. It will make you laugh. Don't let the kids read it, obviously, unless they're bigger kids and they understand swear words. You will enjoy this book, and it's created by a team from Shrewsbury. I could see this as a TV show. I really could. Honestly, I could see it. I was, yeah. I'm struggling to explain this book. Okay, this is the angle I'm going to take. Okay, I love Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is fantastic. Okay, because what they do is they tell an amazing story in a short space of time. Like they'll take a 25-minute slot and they'll go from A to B and it will zigzag all over the place and they'll get out what they want to say in a short space of time. That is talent. If you can do that, if you can tell a really good story in one case on Rick and Morty, they told a million different stories in about 2 minutes. The Morty's Mind Blowers, right? Loads of cool stories. And to explain, the market scene where one of the gnomes is running through the town A to B, like I just said, it tells one of the most amazing tales, and it's just in a few words, so many amazing things happen. And in fact, this book is only 170 pages long. It's not a big book at all, but it takes as an amazing journey that George R.R. Martin would take about 5 books to tell. So I think,
yeah, one of the books would just be them traveling in a cart.
Exactly. So go and take this book. It's really easy, really fun, and you'll enjoy it. Where can people? Sorry.
Sorry to cut you off.
No.
Because you mentioned Rick and Morty. I would say one of the biggest, inspirations, which is something you wouldn't expect, would be Futurama.
Okay.
It's a little ensemble cast. It's every character's memorable, but they don't stand out so much. They all come together to make a story, and it's all filled with lots of little laughs, but also underneath it all there's some really nice messages in there, and sometimes some really moving moments, and that's something that I think we wanted to try and do. Just have lots of little laughs and occasionally have that message in there underneath as well.
I think you can easily fit, "Hey, baby, you want to destroy all humans" in there somewhere, and it would work. If anybody's watched Futurama, you'll know what that means. Where can people...
That would definitely be a turd line.
Want to destroy all humans. I love that. I used to do a Futurama podcast. We used to talk through all the episodes. It was fun. Yes. Where can people find you?
We are on all the usual social medias you'd expect to find us on: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz. We're under Critical Tales or Critical Tales Official, because we wanted to sound as official as possible. And the book itself, obviously, you sort of mentioned, is on Amazon, but we've got it on our own website, Google Play, Kobo, and so you can find it anywhere there.
Fantastic. You guys are amazing, and I love to, once it's all over, meeting up and have a glass of cider with you guys, because I think you're amazing. Max, anything to add quickly? We are going to end.
I can't think of anything.
No, I'm good.
No?
I hope you enjoyed it.
No, we did.
So glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you do read this book, give these guys a review. Let us know as well that you've enjoyed it on our say so. Of course, like I want to know if we've had any impact as a show. But you know what? This has been fantastic. Make sure you check out our website, guys. All our audio is on our website. We are at www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. We are going to be really pushing our content over the next 2 weeks or so. I have I'm scaring the heck out of the biscuiteers, because I want to record something on every single day of the week. I've literally listed every single day and 2 time slots for each day. So there is plenty of opportunity for local businesses, charities, or events to get in touch, come on the biscuit and tell people what you want to do. We're here to help the town through recovery, and there's an opportunity there. So yes, we're going to oversaturate our content, but there's going to be an opportunity there at the same time for everybody to talk about what they do. That's the goal over the next 2 weeks. So there's going to be a lot of biscuit to get through. So keep an eye on our social media for more information. Guys, you've been fantastic guests. Max, you've been a great co-host. Thank you very much to all of you guys. And we will catch you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.